Well, that should be pretty obvious, because obviously if the knob spread is going up and the bond price is going down, one would imagine that the 2s5s is also going up. So that would suggest that there is a parallel shift taking place in that vicinity as well. But we'll get to that later on today at some stage when we've got an opportunity to talk it through. Let's get through this morning's numbers so that we can see what we had. There's obviously, it's a Monday, so it's obviously the usual rubbish for a Monday. All we've had is the German IFO coming out at 97.7. The prior was 98.8, 98.9. The forecast was 98.2. So a miss on the German IFO numbers. It's had a bit of an effect on the selling in the euro, but the selling in the euro coming in, you can see from the top edges, the German IFO came in at 9 o'clock this morning. So it was just into this euro selling just here, and you started to see the sell come in just afterwards, and the euro dollar starting to make a bit of a motion to the ocean, 1660s down to 16 evens at the bottom edge. Now, why is that the case? It's a difficult one because the US numbers are mixed, of course. The US numbers, conference boards, consumer confidence tomorrow, down a little bit, the Richmond manufacturing up a little bit. So there isn't really a price discounting required in that one. But obviously, because the European numbers, the German numbers did miss, then we can obviously assume that we should see a bit of sell-side activity on the euro dollar on the basis that the euro dollar was in a relatively premiumed position. So we can see that there was a commercial sell at this price here from the background. I'm sure you all knew that. And that sell in the background has turned out to be the sell on the right-hand edge as well. So there's the commercial sell level right there. You already knew that, didn't you? Yes, everybody knew that. So there's the commercial sell level. It's a double distribution up. You can see that there is sell that comes away from it, the sell that came away from it, and then the retest into that became a very obvious sell side opportunity. And a good takeaway from that trade, a very good takeaway from that trade. So pretty easy stuff, but as I said, just needed to do a bit of work on it. So as I said, this afternoon, empty, absolutely empty. Nothing of any importance whatsoever coming out of any data releases. So it's going to be all about liquidity grabbing, and it's going to be about just watching the liquidity. It's all about liquidity flows this afternoon. And we'll be in the mood to do some scalping, I would imagine. Most of the good trades are finished, I would imagine as well. So perhaps a bit of scalping this afternoon and see how we get on with this. Looking at some of the other trades, of course, as I said, the oil trade has been a very, very interesting play. We've looked at it from several angles so far today, but for me, from the overnight session, I was a buyer. I was a buyer predominantly of dips, and this has been where we've been looking at oil so far this morning. I would prefer to be long. We had this commercial level in the background. We had a bit of volume in the overnight session. We traded down into those areas. You can see obviously into those areas, very difficult to do anything except to buy into these. And that's what we've been doing. We've been buying predominantly into the lows, trying to make a bit of headway to the upside. We've taken out the highs. I did have a think about the top edge, but it was holding up here. So I was thinking probably a break higher for the time being. With that big 85 in the background, really, really offering an opportunity to maybe try and get some liquidity coming into 2 o'clock. But it has absorbed quite big style at 94 on the futures contract, and because of that I have sold some oil, and we've managed to get some reasonable size on this trade. So I am using this down tick at 87s, 88s to book some of my profits at the moment. So a reasonable outcome. Let's take a look at the reasons why. Let's take a look at industry. Let's take a look at copper gold. You can see that the overall macro was very bullish, but this morning from the London Open, there certainly hasn't been that bullish feel about the markets. There's definitely been a bit of a sell-off here in terms of that shape. So yes, I am quite keen to sell it, absolutely, for that reason. Let's look at the shape of what the bond traders think. Well, you can see one of the big reasons why the oil prices have gone higher. Bond traders are very much in favor of the long side of oil at the moment. You can see that the bonds went bullish, and they've held on to that bull all the way through that phase. no real interest in the short side. Looking at inflation break-evens, this is probably the single biggest reason you'd be buying oil, of course, and it's the reason I think I gave in the tweets. It's the reason I gave in the tweets is the inflation break-evens were very bullish, and you can see that there's a very, very strong case to be long oil into those top edges. As we zoom into the top edges, you can see inflation break-evens have diverged off the highs. So whilst I would like the sell, and whilst I have taken a little bit of selling, it's not a great trade, and I'd far rather squeeze the 85s wide open and then bust everybody that's short and then try and sell off the 85.10s. That would be the perfect trade in this area here. That's what I'm hoping to be able to achieve. Let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can put it, cause as much pain as we possibly can do in this trade, and then get some liquidity, because that 85 print is huge. It is an enormous print for liquidity. So I'd love to see it coming out to play. I'd love to see the big spike above it. It's going to be a big spike above it, and I want to see if we can get a bit of business as we go through that motion. So that's what I'm kind of focused on just now, trying to capture that oil, see if we can get it going, see if we can get anything moving on it. We talked about volume today, about volume standing out and being aware the volume is in the right location at the right price. We'll obviously, as I said, be covering that in Classroom this afternoon. So welcome in, guys. Welcome in. You've not really missed a huge amount. If you traded in the overnight session, you're probably finished for the week off the RGLs. That is you. You're done and dusted. 10 minutes work and your week is finished. $1,000. Boom. If you are going to trade the rubbish, welcome in. Welcome in to the rubbish session. We are all here to trade the rubbish this afternoon. See if any of it turns out to be golden. Let's see what happens. I'm going to grab a little bit of lunch. I'll be back